Late one fog-shrouded autumn evening, Sarah and Mark embarked on a seemingly innocent road trip to celebrate their anniversary. Their destination was a remote cabin nestled deep within the woods, a place they had heard about from friends. The path leading to the cabin was winding and isolated, surrounded by dense trees that obscured the moonlight. As they drove, the atmosphere grew eerie. The thick fog seemed to cling to the car, limiting their visibility to just a few feet ahead. Mark's grip on the steering wheel tightened, and Sarah's unease was palpable. With each mile they covered, the road became increasingly narrow, the trees closing in around them like monstrous giants watching their every move. The silence was broken only by the soft hum of the engine and the occasional hoot of an owl. The feeling of isolation was overwhelming. The GPS indicated a shortcut that would shave off a significant amount of time from their journey. Although hesitant, Mark decided to follow its guidance, hoping it would lead them out of the unsettling forest. The road quickly deteriorated into a rugged path, barely wide enough for their car. The headlights cast eerie shadows that danced on the gnarled trees, creating an otherworldly ambience. Minutes turned into hours, and the couple realized they were hopelessly lost. Panic began to set in as they struggled to find their way back to the main road. The cabin they had hoped to reach seemed like a distant dream. Their phones had no signal, leaving them cut off from the outside world. Just as they contemplated turning back, a figure emerged from the fog ahead. A hitchhiker dressed in tattered clothing stood by the roadside with an outstretched thumb. Mark hesitated but decided to pull over, thinking the person might know the area and could guide them back. The hitchhiker climbed into the back seat without a word, his face obscured by shadows. Sarah and Mark exchanged uneasy glances, feeling a chilling presence emanating from their mysterious passenger. They asked if he knew the way out of the woods, to which he replied in a low, raspy voice, "I know a way, but it's not safe. You have to trust me." As the car moved forward, the hitchhiker's directions took them deeper into the forest, away from any semblance of a road. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest, and Mark's anxiety soared. They shared a silent understanding that this decision was a grave mistake. Suddenly, the hitchhiker turned toward them, his eyes reflecting an unholy darkness. "You shouldn't have come here," he hissed, revealing a sinister grin filled with unnaturally sharp teeth. Sarah screamed, and Mark slammed his foot on the gas pedal, the car lurching forward. The hitchhiker's hand shot out, grabbing Mark's shoulder, and in that moment, the car careened off the makeshift path, crashing into a thicket of trees. Dazed and injured, the couple stumbled out of the wreckage, their vision blurred from the impact. The hitchhiker had disappeared into the fog, leaving behind an overwhelming sense of dread. Stranded and injured, they had no choice but to navigate the unforgiving wilderness on foot. Throughout the night, they heard whispers in the wind, faint echoes of their names. The trees seemed to twist and contort in unnatural ways, and shadows danced around them, evoking a sense of malevolence that was inescapable. Their flashlight flickered, and the battery of their phone drained to nothing. After what felt like an eternity, they stumbled upon a dilapidated cabin. It was the very cabin they had set out to find, but it was nothing like the pictures they had seen. The windows were shattered, and the walls were covered in strange symbols that seemed to writhe in the dim light. Inside, they discovered a crude altar adorned with bones and candles, and a journal filled with pages of deranged ramblings. The realization dawned upon them. The cabin was a place of unspeakable horrors, and they had stumbled into a nightmare that was never meant to be witnessed. Terrified, they fled the cabin and continued their desperate trek through the woods, the whispers and shadows growing more intense. Just as they were about to give in to despair, they stumbled upon a clearing, and in the distance, they saw the glimmer of headlights. Rescue had arrived. As they were taken to safety, they recounted their harrowing ordeal to the authorities. Yet despite extensive searches, no trace of the cabin or the hitchhiker was ever found. Some believed the forest itself was cursed, a place where reality and the supernatural intertwined, waiting to ensnare unsuspecting souls. To this day, Sarah and Mark shudder at the memory of that fateful drive, forever haunted by the horrors that lurked within the desolate detour.